Alright, so I accidentally muted myself during this part of the stream, so I'm just gonna have to voice over this part. But this is round 5 of the Pioneer Showcase, and I have an excellent starting hand, except I don't have a payoff. So that's sometimes kind of interesting, because I have a lot of ramp, but I don't actually have the payoff I need. And you mulligan those hands. Like I don't have Nissa, Karn, Voracious Hydra, and so on. And I think in this case, because my ramp is so good, like I have 3 mana dorks and Nykthos and Burning Tree Emissary, that there is actually like a lot of upside into keeping this hand. Especially since I'm on the draw, sometimes Karn is just not good enough on the draw if I just go like Flora Hedron into Karn. But the fact that if I draw Karn with this hand, it is going to be good, because I will have 8 mana on turn 3. Which can make it so that Karn can actually get something relevant in a lot of cases that it wouldn't normally be able to. Also something like Voracious Hydra is going to be a lot better because I have this much ramp. So I think if I didn't have the Nykthos, for instance, I'm not sure I would have kept this hand, because then you don't get anywhere. Regardless, I'm against 4-color Omnath here. As we can see, they're just like ramping out. And I'm obviously, since I drew 2 lands in a row, I'm really hoping that I draw the payoff this turn. Specifically, I would like to draw Voracious Hydra, and yeah, I do. That's quite incredible top deck. The reason that I really wanted to draw this one is that it's quite important to get rid of their Lotus Cobras, and you don't have that many cards that actually accomplish this. So I'm very happy to see this. This also makes sure that they can't go Genesis Ultimatum next turn, which is something that I really want to delay as long as possible, and it means that their Escape to the Wilds are going to be a lot worse than normally. Also now if I draw a Karn, I can just go ahead and get the Godfather statue right away, which is actually a pretty important hate piece in this matchup, since it completely hampers their Escape to the Wilds and their Uros and their ability to play the game, really. Obviously they can play through it because they can produce a lot of mana, but it makes it a lot harder for them to play the amount of spells a turn that they're actually trying to do. So here do see the Omnath, and yeah, it doesn't feel great that I had to use my Hydra on a Cobra. So I hope to draw another answer here, but I do not. Just a lonely Llanowar Elf. And that's obviously, a risk to keeping this hand. I drew 2 lands in Llanowar Elves, and my deck is, almost half mana. If we count the Burning Tree Emissaries, my deck is half mana. Not half, actually more than half. 2/3 mana, and a single third that is that are threats. So you're actually like somewhat likely to have this exact thing happen. Plus sometimes you just draw Oath of Nissa, which I did count as a threat in this calculation, and you don't actually get the mana, or you don't actually get a threat out of it. So this is why keeping threat, like hands without a threat, can be quite risky. So you have to really account for the payoff here. And I thought the payoff was there, but I did not get there completely. Now my opponent gets to untap with Omnath, and we're in a lot of trouble. This row gives the extra land drop. That's even an Evolving Wild, so the opponent gets another Omnath trigger here, and they could actually play Genesis Ultimatum if they have got one, which is also a lot of issue here. Let's see what they do. Even if they don't have an Genesis Ultimatum, they just flashback the Uro right away, because it was an Evolving Wilds was the 6th card in the graveyard. But they do have Ultimatum, so they can. Since they already gained the mana from Omnath, so they can't do that again, luckily, but they can hit a lot of other stuff that is going to be quite problematic. Let's see what actually happens here. And they hit 5 lands, just 5 lands. That's a bit of a relief. Omnath is only gonna deal 4 damage to me here. That's all that's gonna happen. However, because of the Fable Passage, that can still get an island and a breathing pool. They can actually still flashback the Uro here. So we're not out of the water yet. Still having to beat Uro and Omnath here is no small feat. And they also have another card remaining in hand, plus obviously the cards that draw from Uro. So I'm not even sure that something like Karn will get him out of it. Certainly like Nissa won't do much. Vivian can do something if they can't trigger the Omnath, because then I can get Ultimach the next turn. I just drew another forest here. I have to keep back my Hydra. They're certainly not racing them at this point. They have so much life gain, but I really want to punish them for attacking with Uro here, so I have something to block with. Regardless, this game is almost certainly over here. Even if it doesn't end this turn, then it will end soon. So this matchup against 4-color Omnath is somewhat interesting. We see them play another Genesis ultimatum here. It can be quite play draw dependent. Some of the big swings that are very important is an early Voracious Hydra that eats a Lotus Cobra that can seriously hamper their ability to be explosive. Or similarly trying to plan to have a Hydra eat the Omnath can also be very important. Or if you just get to play a Vivian +2 on a Burning Tree Emissary before they get to play Omnath, that's another really important tool, so that when they play Omnath you can just -3 the Vivian because you already have a 4-power creature in play. Usually you can get out ahead of them, especially if you're on the play, and if you're ahead, it becomes quite hard for the Omnath deck to catch up. But you aren't really racing them. Usually, it's much more about like developing a big board fit early, and if you can't manage to do that, then you're just behind here. The card that was cast here was Path to Water Whale, which makes one of the lands a 6/6 and gives them extra turn. So this is why it's going to die here. I decided that I had to double block the Omnath to kill it, but the fact that they attack with it usually means that they just have another one in hand, and sure they do here. Also this Uro that I blocked last turn is threatening to come back, but I definitely had to block that over the land because otherwise they just get another attack trigger. It's really all a big mess here. And I'm just watching as my opponent attempts to finish the job here. They're attacking with the planes, which I assume means that they want to get it into the graveyard to get back Uro. But I can't just take 6 damage, I really have to get rid of that 6/6 threat, because it is an issue here. But as you see, there was actually a very important reason for why. I don't know why I'm not F6ing here, that is just a waste of time. It's a very important reason why they attack there, because they actually have Chandra, who can -3 to deal 3 damage to each non-elemental creature. You see me highlight the Florahedron there, because Florahedron happens to be an elemental. It's quite funny I think that's relevant. Also, Nissa's lands are elemental, so Chandra's not actually great in this matchup, as you do have a number of things that survive the -3. However, another land here on 7 with Chandra, they can get back Uro. I am not winning here, I just have nothing left. No good draws. So the thing I want to think about postboard is that they have Magma Sprays and Radiant Flames, which create kind of this weird dynamic where you want to play out multiple mana dorks, so that if they have Magma Spray, you can still play your 4 mana Planeswalker on turn 3. However, if you play out multiple of them, they can just Radiant Flames. This is mostly an issue on the draw, not as much on the play. As for sideboarding, you could consider to board in the Scavenging Oozes, because they are an Uro deck. However, I've found that part of it doesn't matter too much. Because usually when they get to the spot where they can flashback Uro, that's where you need to have had the board anyway. And the Scavenging Ooze doesn't help you get the board. It doesn't ramp you, and it doesn't pay you off for ramping. And they don't interact with you on a 1-for-1 basis the same as the red decks or the Saltside Reclamation decks do, where just having any sort of threat matters a lot more than following a game plan. This matchup is really a lot about following the game plan, and I do not want to make myself more inconsistent. Also, since I added Pithing Needle to the sideboard, which is really for this matchup, as you tend to name Fable Passage, the Karns have actually become quite good. And the Vivian's obviously very good for dealing with their Omnaths and Cobras and just clocking them. Nissa's very good for clocking them. And obviously Razor's Hydra is one of the better cards in the matchup. So I do like all my payoffs here, and I don't really see a reason to go lower on any of them. And I don't want to cut any Ram spells. I want to keep the Explosion as of Emissary. So even though the Oozes are fine, I would not mind having one in hand in a lot of cases. I would not cut any cards for it, because I think everything else is better. You could, I guess, make an argument for cutting a land on the draw for an Ooze, which might be fine, but it does weaken you against Radiant Flames, so I don't think that's worth doing. You could potentially also cut a Nissa, especially on the draw, because one thing that's awkward with Nissa is that it doesn't line up that well against Omnath. And also not as well against Radiant Flames, though that is usually okay. However, Nissa can supercharge your Karns. You can just, if you answer with Nissa, you can go get. Anyway, we have a good hand here. We have 2 mana dorks with the Lana Wealth as well. And next turn here, I have a decision of whether to play Florahedron or not. Drawing the Burning Tree Emissary is pretty great. That means my Nykthos is going to be supercharged. Not right away, but the turn after. And so since they can't, since I want to try and play around a Magma Spray and try and make sure that I have 4 mana next turn, I decide that I can play out Florahedron. And if I play the Emissary first and filter mana through the Nyxos so that I have triple green, I can play Oath and then Florahedron. And it's actually just, I had a decision between Elvish Mystic and a land here, and I take the land, guaranteeing me another mana next turn so that I can, even if they have Magma Spray here, I will have at least 5 mana next turn. I actually have 6 mana next turn. So I might be able to do something with that. And if they don't Magma Spray anything, I have, I think, 8 mana? 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I have 8. No, just 7 mana, it seems. Nyxos taps for 5. And I have 2 more. Yeah, I only have 7 mana next turn, so I can't go Vivian plus Karn. So now I have to just make a decision of what to do here. And I think I decide to play around Radiant Flames by developing a Vivian and plussing on the Burning Tree Emissary. This also means that if they can't interact with me, I just go get an Ulamog next turn, which is the biggest thing I can threaten here. So in general, playing Vivian first is better when you're on empty board like this, because it just threatens the Ulamog next turn. And even if it doesn't do that, it still fuels your Nyxos better for next turn, so that your Karn can go get something very impactful, like a statue, rather than the less impactful Pith Needle or Grafticus Cages, which are things you get in the matchup, but they aren't as impactful as the statue. But anyway, you just get a Ulamog here. Very importantly, remember to float mana with Nyxos before you -5 the Nissa, because otherwise you're going to lose on your mana. I assume I have enough mana here. I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, Nyxos taps for 8, so I have 11 mana in total, which is plenty to go Ulamog and Llanowar Elves for the record here. So I'm just thinking if getting Ulamog is the best thing. I'm thinking of ways they can deal with it. They can go to Fairy to bounce it. That's a way they can deal with Ulamog. But even though I lose out on my Vivian, as long as I play out my Llanowar Elves, I can actually replay Ulamog right away the turn after. I have exactly 10 mana. So that should be good enough. And I get rid of the red source so they can't cast Radiant Flames. But even if they Radiant Flames me here, I still have my Burning Tree Emissary survive and my Ulamog, and they're going to be at 9 life. So this game is over. So as I said, the only way to survive here is by having to Fairy to bounce the Ulamog. And if they do that, I can just replay the Ulamog. I have exactly 10 mana next turn. So that's a good clean win here. So as I said, they don't have that many removal spells. They have no removal spells game 1, and then post-board they have a few Magma Sprays, like 3 to 4, or sometimes fewer, and some Radiant Flames, like 2, maybe 3 Radiant Flames. And those are the tools they have to deal with. And Radiant Flames is usually too slow on the draw. So on the play, usually feeling quite good in the matchup, because you can get explosive draws like this. My goodness. Yeah, I've been muted. I wonder for how long. All right. Well, I'll just have to to fix that for a video. Thank you, MSJ. I was definitely muted. Anyway, I don't think I changed anything, but winning on the draw is the hard one. Do I bought in Pith Needle? I think it's important enough that I can get it off Karn. But maybe not when I'm on the draw, I'm not sure. That's why like losing game 1 is rough, because you're not great on it all. Can I even keep this hand? Because I'm not sure I can. Because they probably play like an Omnath turn 3, and then like my follow-up to that is just not impactful enough. Yeah, I think I have to mulligan. Sucks. I like this a lot more. Let's put back a Florahedron. Ooh, yes, 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 yes. That's what I want. I might just want to eat that with my Hydra. But now I drew an Elvish Mystic. I can't sequence this in a way where I'm guaranteed to have Hydra for 4 next turn, but I can help it along with Oath. Because I can go Wolfwood Haven, Oath, plus Eldritch Mystic. Or I can just Hydra trade for a Cobra. Which is usually a fine play. But it opens up their Radiant Flames. Yeah, I don't think I want to do that. I think I want to go Haven, Oath. Just grab a land. Any order. Mystic. So now I can play a 4/5 Hydra and eat their Omnath. Or I can play like Floor Hydra and 3/4 Hydra, if that's what I feel like. I think the way you win most often when you're on the play in this matchup, or when you're on the draw in this matchup, is that they miss land drops. But they have 29 of them, so it's pretty hard. The other way is to have a couple elves. Magma Spray is fine. We just make a 3/4 Hydra now. Oh, they also missed the land drop. Great. Yeah, I think 3/4 Hydra is so important because it gets around Radiant Flames. Okay, we killed that one as well. Huh, they actually have a land, but they're thinking about whether to play it because they also have Omnath. Scary. I think I'm still just supposed to kill Cobra. But honestly, I'm not sure. If I draw Vivian, I use Vivian to kill the Cobra. And play this as a tap land, so that I can kill Omnath with my Hydra. Because I can't do it the other way around then. Ooh, that's nice. Six, put it to 15. I think killing Cobra is just too important. But I could double the power here and maybe kill through Omnath. But not really. Here comes Omnath. Obviously a big issue here is that this Hydra doesn't get through Omnath. I can attack for 12 now. Yes! Important. So important. Do I use our aces now? I don't think so. I think I just make a wolf. Can we beat Ugin? No. Let's just make a wolf. I could have played Florahedron first as a creature. I'm just play this land here. I have to hope to dodge an ultimatum here. Or like Omnath into a Fatal Passage ultimatum. This looks like Omnath. Yep. Alright. Nice. That it wasn't Fatal Passage. Even if they go Uro Fatal Passage now, we're fine. We're in the clear. I guess I lose my Vivian if they do that. think I have lethal here. Or at least enough to like force the Omnath to jump block. I can hash up here, plus Vivian on these two. So this would be 6 power trample. So it's 6, 12, 16 power trample. Attack with the Lana Wolf too. So they have to block with Omnath, making it 12 power. And they also have to block with Cobra. So they have to block with Omnath and Cobra now. If I make that play. Can I do that in a way that's more pleasing? This is 4-5. They can't double block that, right? They take exactly lethal. I think we might have gotten there. I'm sorry I'm not paying attention to chat. Like, it doesn't update on screen the way I want it to, sadly. Wait, hold on. I wanted to check if there was a way I could do this better, but I don't think so. They can't double block. They can double block here, but that doesn't do anything. They can double block here, but that's fine. If I want to, I can also develop Florahedron. Does that matter? I put him to 1 life. Oh, they can't cast Ultimatum because of the planes. Huge. Absolutely huge. I'm just gonna go on a limb and say it doesn't matter. To play the Florahedron. Probably also doesn't matter to keep it, I'm just gonna play it. Yeah, I think it's updating now correctly. I love playing games where you have to do math like this. Where you can like see how can you force your opponent to make bad blocks. Why doesn't it work? Oh, deck list. That's why. Wait, what? Oh, you just have... It should be on the Stream Decker, but why does it not work now? Okay, well... Just gonna do it manually. They make that double block, that makes sense, that kills the wolf. Push them to 1 life. Alright. So, they can't do anything too stupid here. Oh, they can Uro. Uro is quite stupid. But it's not good enough to make them survive, I think. Because Uro, like, I just plus twice here, and then attack with everything, and they die. Even if they have Magma Spray up, which they don't. Nice. Important to win this one. Still have 3 more important rounds.